Hello, hello. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Online with Pastor Toks. Glad to have you here today. My name is Toks Balogun, and I'm your regular host on this program. Today, we have very interesting topic to discuss. I'll soon be bringing in my co-hosts, and we have a lot to discuss today. So, if you are joining us for the first time today, you are welcome. And I want to just say to you, please, if you have not subscribed to our channel, Real World Christian Television Network, please subscribe to that channel so that you can get a regular update from us when we have programming like this. And also you can also subscribe to all the other channels associated with our programming on Facebook as well. God bless you as you do that for us. And also, you can also share this program with somebody that you think can benefit from it. We are going to be discussing something very, very interesting today. You don't want to miss any part of it. So very soon I'll be bringing in my co-host for this program today. So just hold on for me. I will bring them in very soon. Okay, okay. So it's a full house today. Let me just say it's a full house today. We have four of us on the program today. So you will all have the benefit of this discussion. Hallelujah. Okay, here we are. We are here online. Welcome, guys. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Oh, good to know that you can hear. You can
Yes, we
hear me.
can.
That's good to know, please. I will introduce you all very soon. I believe we are all online now and we are ready to go for this program. Okay, as usual, we want to start by asking that basic question. Do you know where your kids are? Do you know where they are now? Not only physically, I'm asking you, do you know where they are emotionally? Do you know where they are spiritually? Are you sure? Can you confidently say this is where they are? It's very important question we must ask ourselves all the time. So just want to just put that question out there. Pastor Yinka, are you there?
I'm there.
Okay, Sister
I'm
Vivian
trying to
told me.
set up my lighting. Lighting I have is not good yet,
Okay,
but I'll soon be with you on video.
okay.
I can see you. I can see Sister Funke too.
Sister okay, you're welcome. Thanks for joining
And
us
Vivian is
today.
there
And
too. Buki is there. Her name is Bukola. I say I'll correct that next time we come online.
okay, no problem at all. Okay, I know she told me she'll be joining us a little bit late, so
Let her be
I
there now.
know
We
I
know
know
she'll
she'll be
come.
she'll be joining us very soon. You know, we are discussing something very very important today. We're going to be talking about creating healthy boundaries. You know, how do we ensure that we can help our children to create healthy boundaries, in making friends. We have children with different, how will I put it now, different approach to issues of life, different approach to relationship, So how do we help them so that people don't take advantage of their vulnerabilities, for example, and then making sure that they are well protected as they are growing up. So, Sister Funka will be leading this class today. I will give her the opportunity to do that plus, but just want to make sure that I create the exam for you guys as you're joining us today. Praise the Lord.
Hallelujah.
Okay, so let's get it on, Sister okay? We want to talk about creating boundaries. I know you shared something with me before. I don't know why you want me to share that now, or you want us to continue the discussion before I share that.
Before you go, can I say, are we being recorded?
We are
I don't
live
see.
now. Hello.
It's not showing recording.
Okay, I'm recording it now.
Okay. Great. Okay, Funke, the floor is yours. Before you go, I must say that that was a very good topic. I was extreme myself when I was looking at the little clip you shared on the platform on the host group.
Yeah,
As I was
that's
seeing
very,
myself,
very, very instructive, really.
I see myself in one of it. I say, God, thank God you are helping me. Can
Okay,
you hear me?
yeah,
Yeah.
I can.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Pastor Toks. Thank you, Pastor Yinka. Hopefully, Sister Vivian will join us very soon.
Bukola,
Yeah.
Bukola.
You can call her Vivian. She call herself Vivian. Let her be away.
I told her I'll be calling, I'll be intentionally
Pastor
calling.
Yinka,
Yes, yes.
that is an example of boundary.
Okay, you settled it.
Bukola
That
is
is an
fine. Bukola
example
is
of
fine.
You see now, we know what I'm
healthy
saying. She
boundaries.
said Bukola is fine. She gave me permission. Oh my
Okay.
God.
At the end of it all, I'll know where to place you, whether it's porous or rigid boundary.
Okay.
No, I'm not
Okay.
Yeah.
rigid. I know I'm not rigid. I've already told my friend where I belong, but I'm working on myself.
Okay.
Okay.
I want to share that screen. If you don't mind, do you want me to share it?
Yes.
Okay, I don't mind.
I
At
think,
least for a few
okay,
minutes, yeah,
okay.
or a few seconds, just a second, so that people can see.
Okay, that's it.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Pastor Toks. This is a very important topic. It's a topic, even though today we're looking at how we can help our children to establish healthy boundaries. But it's very, there's an irony there because even as adults, we struggle in this area.
Correct.
And we cannot give what we don't have. We cannot give from an empty cup. So even as we put our children as point of focus today, it's also very important for parents to know how to deal in this area. Establishing healthy boundaries, it's a major issue. It's a place of struggle for so many people, so many adults. And yet, not being able to establish these healthy boundaries has ruined relationships. It has caused job loss. It has ruined family, healthy, good family that has potential to be great. It has ruined relationships. So it's very important. I used to say it sounds very funny, but I used to say that out of all the things that God, the creation of God, that it's human beings that struggle with the issue of boundary. I said,
Can you throw more on that?
can I throw
Are we all
more?
good?
So I'm
Yeah.
trying to say that yes, that even the water, the sea, the ocean, they know where they stop. The only time we saw them crossing their boundary was the days of Noah, and it was because it was permitted by God.
Okay.
Even animals stays in, where they're supposed to be. We bring them as pets into our area. So creation itself respects boundaries.
Okay.
God separated land and water, separated the heart and the heaven. But as human beings, we struggle in these areas a lot. And like I said, I have seen it I'm not old, but at least in my 50 years here, I have seen a lot of destruction, ruin coming up because people don't know how to set healthy boundaries. They don't know how to respect healthy boundaries. So let's start the journey. So
Okay.
we have,
I can say from the discussion now that this topic, even though we are focusing on teenagers and our kids, adults can also learn from it as well.
yes,
So,
yes.
okay, I will stop sharing now. You can discuss along. When maybe I put up the screen again, okay?
Okay, yeah. So adults need to also learn, like I said, we cannot give what we don't have.
Yeah,
We cannot teach what we're not doing.
that's true.
Yeah. Boundary styles. I'm just going to read the definition. Boundaries define what is acceptable and what is not in a relationship. And this relationship might be family relationship, it might even be job wise too. It might be any kind of relationship. But boundaries define what is acceptable, what is not. It is possible to have different boundary types in different relationships. All I know is that even though it's possible to have different styles, if you have a porous boundary, you will see the rewards that comes with it. If you have healthy boundaries, you will experience the rewards, and if you have rigid boundaries. So in between a porous boundary and a rigid boundaries is healthy boundary. And that's what we
we are
want
looking
to
at three boundaries now. There's this porous boundary, there
yes.
is the healthy boundary, and there is a rigid boundary.
Yes.
When I was reading through the material you sent to us earlier, and I was looking at all my children, I can actually place them in the boundaries they belong to. It's so clear. I tell you. Yeah, it's so clear. So for the benefit of those joining us now, let me share again with us those boundaries so that you can understand what we're talking about. So I want to share again those boundaries. It's good for them to see as well.
Okay.
Yeah. You can continue.
Okay, so we have, for those joining us, porous boundaries, healthy boundaries, and rigid boundaries. Like I said, we have healthy boundaries in between because that is where the balance is.
Yeah.
Let me start with porous boundaries. This is a lifestyle. It's a boundary lifestyle that we adopt, and almost everyone can get close to us. The stranger you meet when you go to stores, the stranger you meet at the gas station, in less than 1, 2, 3 minutes, they already know your life history. They already know everything about you. So anybody can get close to you. Anybody can have access to you at any point in time. The next one says, overly trusting.
Is it not when you say that when some people are very outgoing, can we say that everybody that is outgoing has porous boundaries?
So, like I said, everything has moderation.
Okay.
In life, we get
Okay.
into problems when we go to the extreme. There is nothing good, nothing bad that God has created.
Okay.
Or in life, there's nothing in is when we go into
Extreme of it, yeah.
extreme of it, that's where the problem is. And no wonder the Bible says, let your moderation be known to all men. Yeah. And for the porous boundaries, I will use the scripture in Proverbs 25:28 that says, a man without, it's used self-control, but I would use boundary here.
Okay.
It says, a man without boundary is like a city broken into and left without walls. Anybody can go in there, anything can pass through it. And that's very dangerous. So, as we said earlier, almost everyone can get close to you, almost everybody, forgetting the fact that people come in with different energy vibes.
That's true.
We have positive, we have negative vibes. Have you ever stepped into an environment and you just want to step out almost immediately because you just don't feel comfortable? You can't pinpoint and you can't lay hands on what is going on, but you just don't feel comfortable around that environment.
Okay.
So you're interacting with people with different energies, positive or negative.
Okay.
So imagine if you come in contact and you embrace a lot of people with low vibrational energies. That's going to be a big problem.
Okay.
Yes. And I'm very open. Please, you can ask. You can step in while I'm talking.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I'm trying to not last week when we were talking, I believe it was last week, that's when this issue came up really. When we are in an environment like this, when you have children that were brought from maybe Africa and they're new in this environment, there's that tendency that they want to belong, and
Exactly.
they want to belong to the new environment, and you see them, maybe because of that, they draw their boundaries to make sure that they can have friends among the new classmates they have and stuff like that. How do we handle that? Because we're talking about porous boundaries. At the same time, these children are faced with challenges because they want to be part of the new society. And in order for them to get assimilated to that society, they want to drop some things so that they can feel belong.
I would say, just like you said, always check up with your children, no matter how busy you are. I run a very busy schedule, but I will stop in the midst of it and send a text to them and ask, how is everyone today? What's going on with everybody? What you said when we started the program was very impactful
Yeah.
and really struck a chord in me.
Yeah.
When you said, do you know where your children are?
Do you know
Do
where
you
that is
know
from?
where? I don't know.
Pastor, can you tell her? We
We
can't hear
can't hear
you.
you. You're muted.
NTA Newsline in the olden days, I'm not sure. Do you remember it?
Frank
Olize.
Olize. Frank Olize on NTN Newsline.
Oh,
When he
9
starts his
p.m.
program
every
every night,
Sunday.
he
He will
says
say, "You know where your
it is
children are." Before
opening statement.
that's the program theme.
Yeah.
That's the
oh,
exactly. So we adopted it when we started this talk show.
wow.
So you know where it is now. Let's go. Continue. We're enjoying
Yeah, so always, like Pastor Toks said, always check on your children. Even though you think you've imbibed right cultures and listening to them, values and all that, we live in a world that is full of temptation. Even as adults, we face temptations every day. We're just constrained by the grace of God. It's because we have learned to tap into that grace, or else we would fall into such temptations too. So they are open to such temptations and exposures. So always check on them. I do agree with you that they want to belong, they want to feel among. It's so easy, you don't
Yeah,
want
I
to be
said
left
that
out.
because I recall when I was younger and I changed school. I was primary school, I changed school. And when I got to the new school, there was this thing in me that says I should try, get close to the other children. So in that process, I knew that there's some things that maybe it was not naturally me. I tried to do so that I can be part of them. And that is in a very homogeneous environment. Now we have children we are raising in North America that is not an homogeneous environment culturally, and there's that tendency for them to say, because I want to be part of this, let me drop some values. Let me just be able to get close to them, so that they can accept me in, and that is turning towards the porous boundaries as they're trying to divide now, So I'm just wondering, what do we do? How do we let them know that even though you want to make friends, you still need to be able to create that boundaries? Because that
it. Okay.
do
Can
that
I come in?
balance. Yeah, you can come in.
Okay. Thanks once again for this wonderful topic. I made I started it. I said, wow, this is that
It's deep.
broad value needs to be made because I make friends easily and all that. And especially for me as a pastor, you are come as you are kind of person. You want to But over the years, especially 2018, I started, looking at it on a pastoral level. Now, coming to the application for our kids, I think it's all about the value we have, inculcated into them. The value we make them know, you can't do it for them. So it's like I remember when I was in college, where I school with Sister Funke. I had a friend that next thing just come and slap me on the head. I use it as a reference in the church yesterday when during our Bible study. So I just have to tell him, I don't like that. Please. And that stopped it. So there is time for us to be firm. Because yesterday we were talking about, somebody asked a question that you have somebody that's an unbeliever, you have tried on school to preach to that person. You just cut them off, but we're talking about circumcision, cutting off the outside flesh. So, yes, you don't need to, when you know it's going to harm be injurious to your Christian faith, and they don't really have any Christian value adding to you can put a distance. I think it's still back to come to boundaries. So the value we are imbibing these children as parents, we need them to know. And I don't see anything wrong if we can, especially with that have maybe daughter or daughters, to let them know. Because there are some guys, there's unscrupulous guys that they try them with things, you don't want to say no. I think that porous boundary, because that is extreme. It has some attributes too that are good. That's why Stability said that you need to want the balance. You can't be too extreme. Because if you are too extreme, if you are too rigid, you can't be a Christian. I mean, winning soul. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So the balance is we should focus on that healthy boundary. And now are going to pass it to our kids because we're talking about Christian parenting. How are we going to let them with the values we have built into them? Make sure that wherever they are, because we know they are in school, but we don't know whether they are particularly in the school, in the college now. They must have gone, but anywhere they are, they should be able to set those boundaries that no, that they know their identity. They know who they are, children of God. So we should focus. To me, I want us to.
Okay, can I do something? Because I got a feedback now from people watching online that when we shared that those boundaries, they couldn't see it because of the limitation of Zoom and the streaming I'm using. So what I want to do now is to be able to read those boundaries. I mean, let's focus now on the porous boundary, and I want to just read to them what are the uh, characteristics of porous boundary. Do you mind? So let me
It's
just do
okay.
that. Yeah. So for porous boundary, what it means is that you are almost allow everyone to get close to you. You know, when you always allow everyone to get close to you, that's a porous boundary. When you are overly trusting of others, even strangers, you seem to trust them. You are open to bring them in. So that's a porous boundary. When you overshare personal information, that means you are you are having a porous boundary. When you have difficulty saying no to others, when they ask you for something, you don't want to offend them, and you just want to say yes and all the time. So that's a porous boundary. When you are overly involved in others' problems, you just know that somebody has an issue and you want to get involved, you want to help them, you want to, get involved in what they are doing to help them out. You have a porous boundary. When you are quick to adopt others' opinion, even though you have your own opinion, probably because you don't want them to get offended, you just want to say, okay, let's continue with your opinion, even though your opinion may be superior opinion. You just want to adopt others' opinion. When you avoid conflict by giving in to others, you're always avoiding conflicts. You know, uh, does when you don't assert personal values. We're talking about values now, recently now. No, you don't assert these are personal values. You cannot cross these boundaries. Then you have a porous boundary. And when you communicate passively, So those are the kind of criteria we are looking at when you're talking about porous boundary. I believe I've been able to share that stuff. Okay.
Yes, thank you so much
Yeah.
for that. Yeah, thank you. And I just want to say that if you're okay by this, I don't see us like being able to like finish up this topic
No,
today.
no,
It's
no.
not
I,
something
I, I
yeah.
agree with you completely. There's no way.
It's,
I think we
this
should
thing
just
can
start
go.
discussing on the porous
It can
boundaries
go on
now.
for like for
Yes.
2 weeks. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a very important
Yeah.
subtopic, and it's very important. So, like I said, and I also need to admit, I'm not a superstar. You know, I lived in these porous boundaries for years. Because
Actually, when I was reading through it now, I could see some things in those points that I'm guilty of. Really, I'm guilty of some of those things there. Not all of them, but some of them. I can say, for example, I don't want to hurt people. And because I don't want to hurt people, I allow a lot of things. Sometimes in my relationship with people.
Yeah.
Christians, you don't want to hurt people, naturally.
So are you not saying
actually,
that Christians are having porous boundaries?
no, what I'm saying is that, it's not that porous boundaries, you don't build walls all the time.
Yeah.
Boundaries about walls. And like our ex-president here was saying that build walls, shut off the Mexicans or the Latinas. There are walls that are meant to be broken and there are walls that are meant to be erected. Because if we just say, oh, I don't want to have a porous boundary at all, I want to have it all rigid. So like Funke said, there are two extremes. We should, as a Christian, we will find ourselves more in the middle, where it's the healthy boundaries. There is it's time and season for everything. There are times that you let the doors, open doors. There are times you have to say, no, these doors, I've let it open, it's not adding value. I need to get it closed off. You get what I'm saying? So there's no way you won't see yourself in porous boundary. And the only thing is that what we evolve into, what are you involved in? Are you a work in progress? And we should let our children know this. Maybe try to introduce in our family devotion. Are you setting boundaries among your friends? When we were, Sister Funke would know what I'm talking about. I attended Agape sometime before I joined ECU. Why are you laughing now? So, and how far is enough? When it's far, we all those boundaries they say, sister should send. There's a funny thing I don't want to mention here. So from necking to pecking, I say, Christians, what is wrong with us? So the topic then was about setting boundaries because we have young adults, their relationships, and they are still professing to be Christians. In order not for us to lose faith with our master. So boundaries, they are there. There are times you have open doors, but too much of everything. Say, let your moderation be known unto all men. The Lord is at hand. The other side too, the rigid boundary is not too good. You can't win also if you are too rigid because you can't engage in a conversation.
So,
Like Jesus talked.
Pastor Yinka,
I agree.
I don't want us to, because if we keep moving from one boundary to the other, we're not because I want us to just try and look at this each items one by one. For porous boundary, for example, now, so when you say,
Can I add something, if I may?
oh, okay, you
Yes,
can
yes,
ask something.
because
You're welcome.
we know you are
Sorry,
busy, so let's have you.
I'm at Hobby Lobby and shopping and
Yeah.
came to return stuff and it took longer than I expected. So I'm just walking out now. So thanks for your patience.
Yeah.
It's okay.
So yes, I love the fact that boundaries were broken down. And one of the things that you mentioned with this particular porous boundaries, you said, with allowing people in, that is very dangerous because that's how a lot of kids are molested. That's how a lot of kids are abused. That's how you have different spirits coming into your home. That's how you have your kids learning different behaviors, especially for us that allow people from Nigeria to just show up and live with us for months. You don't even investigate. You don't know who they are. You don't know the kind of spirit they are carrying. And then they live in your home and start showing certain sort of behaviors, and your kids are learning things. Some kids' life has been messed up because of, oh, this is my friend from secondary school, let them stay with us for a few months, or this is our family member from the village, let them stay with us. And we create a lot of issues in the name of being nice. There's a scripture that says, don't be overly nice.
Yes.
Actually, that says, I think it's in Proverbs or something, that be good, but don't be too good. And sometimes we've allowed goodness to our own goodness and heart to also affect our children. So yes, setting boundaries. And also one of the boundaries that I try to set is not being vocal about every single aspect of my children's life with others. There are certain instances where you have to, which is fine. Especially if you feel like, give me a second. Especially if you feel like that person can contribute positively in maybe advice or mentorship, but be very careful what you share, even the good and the bad. Like, you have to set boundaries with what you share with people regarding your children, where your kids go. I think we talked about sleepovers, we talked about all those things. Those are part of setting boundaries. People align the people where they can go, who comes within your space. And like the lady said, well, sorry, I forgot your name, my apologies.
Funke.
uh yeah, Sister Funke said that being there are different energies, that when you come into certain places. We had a family that stayed with us once, and oh, the energy was something else. And she was constantly using aeroscope, or what's it called, to define relationships. So she was a Scorpio, and she would say, because she's a Scorpio, she's not supposed to be nice to me. And she was staying in my home, and it was so weird. It was the weirdest thing, and it was so much drama. It just threw off my energy for 5 months. That sometimes I'll go into Walmart to just cry.
Wow.
It was so heartbreaking. I was always scared for my kids being around her kids sometimes, because there were just some funny things. And so we have to be very careful for your own peace of mind. You have to set boundaries. Like Pastor Yinka was saying, yeah, you can't be so rigid, but when it comes to your children, you have to be as rigid as possible, but also be flexible when you need to, because sometimes you could overly build a wall that then it's hard to penetrate, and then you make your kids very distrustful. And I'll give a last example. I had a family that were close to growing up when I was in Florida. The mom was so distrusting of people. Then they kept away from family, they kept away from different people. They were so shielded and very secretive. And it really messed up the relationships with them and other people. The kids were also the same. They wouldn't share anything with people. It was so weird. So when the woman suddenly died, nobody really cared, because not that people didn't care, but she had shielded people away enough that, okay, she died. Oh, okay, sorry, bye-bye. And nobody even we don't keep in touch with the family anymore, those kids. And even though we all grew up together. So you have to also set boundaries with that. But that's all I have to add.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Tokumo, before you call me, you know what Sabuki just said? I had a perfect illustration just within a week ago. I think I told Pastor Toks. I was trying to reach out a guy for Christ. He said, no, he doesn't do anything church. And what he said, he just did one of the few lines you just mentioned now, that when he was growing up, our mom believed so much in this witchcraft that everybody is a witch. Everybody around him. I think I mentioned it to Pastor Toks, because I got to know that because of trying to reach him for Christ. And he said that, so he grew up with that until he got to college. So, the mother was trying to set boundary, and because it's having a negative impact on the body. He's an adult now. I mean, he's a PhD holder. He was just pouring out himself to me that now that when he was in the college, he now said, I think he needs to do away with all those, the thing they have passed to him, that everything doesn't have to be about witches and wizards. And when he did that, he was able to come out of that cage. So you see, just like we said, Moderation, let it be known to all men. I yield.
Okay, thanks for that. I think the dimension that Sister Bogi brought into this discussion is not just looking at how the children set boundaries themselves, but how we as parents, how we are
Yes.
helping them, or what our
Values.
actions, how does action impact on them setting boundaries for themselves, or we setting boundaries for them. It has a longer implication. So if you as a parent, you are very porous, just allow anybody to come into your children's space, then you can impact them as well. Or if you are too rigid as well, it can have a negative influence on them as well. So how do we manage those issues? But I think the discussion that Sister Funke was talking about before has to do as well, specifically with the children now, understanding who they are, and how they can set boundaries for themselves, so that in trying to establish relationship, they know that the vulnerabilities that they have, and how to make sure those vulnerabilities are blocked. So if you say, for example, that you allow people into to your space a lot, that could be dangerous.
Injurious.
Yeah, and one other point you mentioned was sharing information with people. So let's go there. What kind of information do we think that we should not just share? But I actually invited some teenagers to this meeting today, so they're listening to us. What are personal informations that you should not be sharing with people out there?
Okay. Do you want Sister Funke to talk or?
Yeah, anybody can pick it up, really.
Okay, let me just, I won't say much. I will let the ladies do it. But as we are contributing, I still want us to look at the family setting. Because, in most marriages, opposite attracts, or what they call, I don't know whether I put it well. In most homes, you don't have the husband and wife having the same temperament, having the same values, but they have to be, like we said earlier in earlier shows, earlier talk, that they have to be on the same page,
Yeah.
right? So because at times some parents, the husband is here, the wife is here. I mean, if they don't come to the middle, they can't imbibe the right values on the kids. If there's no middle point between both of them, because you just see that this one is showing this, be porous, this one is showing, be rigid. So, and that's why the Holy Spirit has to come into. But the parents, we are talking about Christian parenting now. We have a lot of arsenal. I mean, our helper, the Holy Spirit. And that's why they say family that prays together stays together. Exactly. So, ladies, the floor is
Well,
yours.
good point. Yeah, good point, Pastor Yinka. What I would say is not oversharing anything that affects the well-being of the child, the mental health of the child, the safety of a child. So you shouldn't just share, obviously, address where your children go to school. You shouldn't share specific information about their health, their well-being, or anything that you would say, even if they misbehave, to like general public. Or how some of these new parents they'll take videos of their child doing something weird and they post it online, or misbehaving, those sort of things, or oversharing it, even with family and all of that. So there has to be boundaries with that. I feel like those things can affect a child, because then they are no longer trusting of you, because they feel like, oh, mom and dad, they don't have boundaries, as to what they say. Even good things, some of them you don't have to overshare either. You could say, oh, my kids have good grades, that's fine. I'm not even looking at it at a spiritual level, because I know Nigerian parents are more like, let's not talk about how good my child is doing before they bewitch. I don't believe in all of that. I believe that well, like if your yam is growing, why you will
Cover
cover
it.
it. It's not like I'm not of that school of thought. I mean, there has to be boundary as well with sharing. I'm very vocal online, but I'm also very, like, there are certain things I would share and
Careful.
certain things I would never share. So
Careful. Exactly.
again, it requires wisdom, but I'll let Sister Funke continue with it. But you have to set boundaries. But anything that affects the safety of a child, the well-being of a child, the mental state of a child should never be shared. with just anybody. And some things you have to keep within the family. Some things you shouldn't even share with siblings, between siblings. That there has to be boundaries even within the family as well. So yeah, that's all.
Tabuki, on a lighter note, all those Port Harcourt fish and plantain you shared. We can talk about that one day. So Funke, over to you.
Oh my God.
Let me implement my porous boundary now, or what?
Because I saw it, I said Jesus is Lord. Somebody must not be fasting this period when somebody is posting this thing.
Honestly, I so much appreciate everybody. When Sister Buki talks, she just brings a particular dimension, uncovers a particular dimension, which is so beautiful. Honestly, Pastor Yinka, to really appreciate your contribution. Sister Buki said a lot. That's it. In fact, when she was talking, I was seeing myself. That's why I felt sometimes guilty, because I know there are times that my kids will tell me when something happened and myself and my sister talked. My kids will tell me, "Does your sister tell you about her own children?" Do you understand? So yeah, do you think they don't misbehave to you? And that struck me. That struck a chord in me. Yeah. Sure. That even though she's caring, she wants to know what's going on, but does she talk about our own children? Don't they have their struggles? And ever since they said that, I had to place it. As I'm saying that, for years I have lived in a porous setting. Porous setting. So that's why even when I started, establishing healthy boundaries, it became a problem for so many people. Because it was strange to them.
And they start saying that she's keeping to herself now.
No, they didn't say that.
No, that's what they say. They said she has changed. She has changed. She just people again.
The first Sunday in January 2018, one of my members after service, we had the first service in the year, said he wanted to see me. So when we said, I'm saying it, I've told you, I recorded the message. Every time I listen to it, I say, God, thank you. He said, Pastor, you have changed. I said, what? I said, so when he talked, we were about 30 minutes here. He said, no, that the way you laugh, the way you do, that like TD Jakes, Flesh wanted to say I should go back. He said, but now you withdrew from. I said, no, it's not about you, sir. I'm just trying to be a better person for myself and to help the ministry. So people will notice when you change. And it's a good feedback for you too, that something has changed.
No, I like the way the children said it to you because two things could have happened. What they did by telling you that, does your sister tell you everything about our own children too? Or they could have done something else. They could have started keeping secrets from you, so that you won't know what is happening in their life again.
That's it.
And then the question we asked at the beginning, do you know where your kids are? You won't have a clue again, because they say, mommy will always tell somebody about what is happening. Let me keep it to myself.
They shut off.
And you are just getting to a place where you will not be able to know what is happening and be able to advise them correctly, because they're not sharing information with you again, because they say this mommy is too porous, in sharing information. Yeah, and that's why I like the way Sister Vivian put it now. How she connected that, how we as parents, manage information our children give to us, and the implication of it for them, because they don't want you to be able to know what is happening in their life, because they believe that you are going to be sharing it, with people around you.
She said something. That's anything that will affect their mental health.
Yeah.
And emotional health. That's what I'm saying, that she really brought something very important and value to the table. God will help us.
Amen.
Like I said,
we have the helper, the comforter.
Like I said, I saw myself move from porous. I landed straight in rigid. And now I'm coming back to healthy. So that's what I'm saying, that people should feel very free. don't feel bad that you're seeing yourself in porous boundaries at all. Most people start from there, especially people that are empathetic. We are the ones, the most gullible when it comes to this thing.
Yeah, and it's easy to fish information from people like that, and it's easy for you to be vulnerable to overshare when you don't even need to. Like some people will just be silent and you just feel the need to talk and just pour everything. This, and I think the same respect we give to our marriages, we should give to our children. I need to add that because there are a lot of things we don't share about our marriages with just anybody. So why do we now think it's okay to do that with our children? Like why don't, even when it comes to your parents or your siblings or whatever, we're very guarded what we even share about our spouse, even if they do something wrong, because you know that they will use that thing against your spouse tomorrow and they will hate him even after you forgive him, right? So we should use the same thought when it comes to our children. Like, if I share this, what are they going to start thinking about my child? Yeah, because he acted up or she acted up today doesn't mean he's not a good child or she's not a good child and she's going to change. There are certain things you could share, like, oh, please continue to pray for my family, pray for my daughter. You don't have to go into details of specifics of what the child is doing. Oh, they are misbehaving, but you don't have to go into full detail, like, oh, this boy, he did this, he did that. At the end of the day, like I think Pastor Toks was saying, that at the end of the day, the child now begins to keep secret because they're like, if I tell mommy or tell daddy, everybody is going to know. Or if you're the one that will now post it on social media, then everybody will know, because there's some parents like that too. And so we have to be very guided, like Funke said, being in that middle quadrant to know when to share, when not to share. And it also teaches the kids, because I know you said this was about the kids, but how will the kids learn if they don't see an example?
And actually,
So they can't just,
that's what I want to say
they can't
next.
just pick it up from nowhere, because if mommy and daddy allows everybody in the house, next thing you know, your child has an apartment. You allow homeless people on the street in the house.
That, that
Then
that
something.
that is what I want to say next, really, because the way we handle information at home, can affect the way our children also handle information with our friends. So when they see us being very talkative, being very open, being very porous, it's likely they adopt that approach as well. Without you telling them this is how you should do, but they just say this is normal. This is how we do things in our home, and they begin to adopt that kind of attitude as well. So they can learn from us this kind of behavior.
Admitted. I don't totally agree with that.
Are you
You know
sure?
why I said so?
Yeah.
I was in a program recently. I don't know whether it's a seminar online. And the man of God asked us that which of you have your kids say they want to be like you? At times it can have the opposite effect. Maybe when you have a loud mom or a loud dad, as you are growing up, you may resent it. In most cases, I mean, you may resent it. Though there will be some traits that have to be loud, but in most cases that I've seen, I'm still watching, when they see you like that, they may not want to be like you. Most cases. That's what I just want to chip that one into. That we just have to be balanced. In fact, the Bible commands it.
I agree with you, but what I'm trying to get at is that the kid, in a way, see nothing bad in it because he sees at home.
That's
So
part of it.
that
I'm
tendency
just trying to be like my dad.
yes, there's sometimes to say that, okay, well, but if the kid sees that that is not something that is practiced at home, because as we said before, a lot of things are picked from us by our children, not necessarily by you
Yes.
teaching them, but they see what they are doing and they just
God bless
follow
you.
suit.
Yes.
The kid may have a personality that does not agree with that. I'm saying I'm not practicing that, but most cases when they see us do things, they tend to follow that
They pick it up.
way of life as well.
Yes.
So what we are doing now, what I'm trying to do is to see, I'm picking each of those items one by one. So we are running through the porous, the heavy, and the rigid. So we are looking at sharing information now, and we're saying that, okay, this is the extreme of it. And how do we come to the middle ground? making sure that, as we relate with our children, and then trying to let them know as well that as they relate with their friends, they have to set healthy boundaries in terms of sharing information. It's not everything that you share with your friends, particularly what is happening in the family. Yeah.
It's not necessarily about information too. I mean, getting close to for
No.
our daughters.
I'm trying to look at these items one by one. Okay.
Okay.
If you look at the thing we shared before, there are about 9 items there, and we're trying to compare for porous boundaries, healthy boundaries, and rigid boundaries. Where we are all now is sharing information, and we're discussing information sharing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Great.
Of course, we cannot. Our time is already gone. Really, on that one attempt alone, our time is already
This
gone.
is a topic that can
Yeah.
go for like 1-2 months.
Yeah.
It's a very
Or
big,
3 months.
or 3 months, a wide topic. But I know that it's an area of struggle for a lot of people. Another one that stood out for me was having difficulty saying no to others. Oh my God. I used to describe myself as someone that, it's a Yoruba thing, but someone that will give out our eyes and then remember, they now come to remember that, oh, I'm going to need that eyes.
Okay.
Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
I understand.
It's empathy.
So, that was so bad about me. Maybe because I know the pain of being said no to if that thing is needed and very important to me. So, not because I want to please anybody, but I find it hard to say no to people. And sometimes to my HURT, to my heart and my pain. And just like I said, many things I've given out, and I just remember, oh, yeah, I need this thing. In fact, I just did something like that like 3 days ago. My colleague here celebrated her birthday, and I gave her some gifts. And there was one I gave her. And now I just know that I needed it badly. So I have to go back to the store and get a new one.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that it's so true. Saying no, I had a problem with it, I think, until I lost everything. I made so much money a few years ago, and I lost all of it because I couldn't say no. I was trying to save everybody. I was trying to bring
You are the
everybody
savior.
along. And
You are
I
trying to
was
be
trying
Jesus.
I was trying to save everybody. I was trying to attend to everybody's problem. Even when they don't tell me their problem, I just felt the need to
Get
save them.
involved.
And then I now felt bad, resentful, because then when I lost everything, I felt like they should save me too. But they weren't able to save me because they
Wow,
didn't have the same.
that is something else. You were expecting the same thing, but they couldn't give you.
I was expecting. So it's a way I think most people feel like, you want to buy grace from people and be kind so that maybe when you ever need them, they will show up. But the truth is, they may never show up.
That's true.
And you have to, and you would learn the hard way that they would not show up. So those are some of the principles that I teach my kids, and I teach my kids to say no. It comes from maybe when they're toddlers, like babies. You don't have to share your toy. I'm not a parent that will say you must share your toy. Nope. If Edward says, Mom, I don't want to share, okay, you don't have to share. So because we were forced to share everything, we're forced to say yes, even when we didn't want to. And if the child is crying, no, you don't have to share. And I think that's what causes the problems for people like us that end up saying no to everyone over time. I mean,
do you
yes
know
to
one thing,
everything.
Sister Vivian? I tell you,
Yeah.
you just made it so vivid to me now by using that example of sharing. Because we always try to tell our children, it's good to share, and that goes a long way. That goes a long way in affect the psychology of that child. Growing up, he cannot say no to people because he doesn't want to hurt others.
Yeah, because some kids will beat them because they didn't want to share a toy. So that child now feels like even when I don't want to, I have to keep sharing. I have to keep giving. And even when it doesn't please them, it hurts them. Maybe it's the last thing they have, or just like Funke said, she now didn't realize she needed that thing. Now she has to go spend money to buy it, and because you just had to do it. And so a lot of us, and it translates to relationship, even not setting boundaries for them because they had to share their toys. Now they have to share everything,
But
and they have
how
to,
how
and
do
then
you
it goes
create it?
on.
How do you define the balance between not allowing them to share and then being selfish?
Okay, it's a good question. I
Yeah.
think teaching them that you don't have to, but it's good to. So sometimes there have been times where, maybe one is saying, oh, please give me something, and the other one doesn't want to share. I would now ask, like, why don't you want to share? If it's a valid reason, then I would now say, okay, you know what? How about you share for a little bit? Let your brother play with it for maybe like 5 minutes. Would
Yeah.
that be okay? And then typically the child say, yes, it's fine. And then you also make sure that 5 minutes, so there's a clock and the child is waiting, and then he gives it back. If it's food related, you could say, okay, just give him 2 instead of 5 or something. And so that other child also understands that he's not entitled to something that belongs to the sibling. Not feeling like, oh, if I cry a little bit, my parents would allow my brother to give me half instead of 2. So be okay with the little. And it teaches contentment, because then if your brother doesn't share, it's okay. You deal with the one you have, or be okay with the 2 he gives you. So that's how I would say, because selfishness is something that I know a lot of people worry about, but there's a way you could play around with it that still teaches the child to give, and not when not to give and how to give. That's all I have to add.
Wow. So this we are just opening another can of worms, that how to say no. And I tell you, there's so much to say about that, but our time is gone. So this is why we're going to pick it up from next week. Managing that situation. Where do we draw the boundaries between when to say yes to somebody and say no, even when it hurts or doesn't hurt you, Okay, I want to say thank you to everybody. It's been a very engaging discussion, and I believe we are going to prepare more for what's coming next week on this particular topic. So for everyone watching at home, joining us, this is going to be continuing next week by the grace of God. Join us same time, 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on Thursday. Next week, today is 9, so I believe that should be 16th of November. And we're going to continue this discussion on setting boundaries. How do we manage boundaries? How do we make sure that we are not in the porous end, and we're not in the rigid end, but we are having healthy boundaries to make sure that both in managing our kids and our kids relating to their peers out there, and there is a lot of healthy boundaries being set. Until we come again next week, thanks for joining us today. God bless you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Let's keep healthy boundaries. Let's keep working on healthy boundaries.
Yeah.
Absolutely.